And welcome everybody. It is oh, it's not Sunday. It's Monday night. But this is still in the batter's box. It is the NGSC Sports Weekly Baseball Show. I'm your host, Ralph Garcia. Please remember the website. It is ngscsports.com where you catch all of your current content. We've got people in different places. I guess that's a really good thing. Uh, Charles Hartley gives us the great Santino, shocks us all with last second game winning touchdown pass. Santino, Santino, I can think of his last name right now. Third string quarterback, Wake Forest, comes in, throws a last second touchdown pass. Who would have thunk it? Matthew Wilder gives us never underestimate the importance of kickers. Nice little piece we put together. Just showing the importance of kickers in the NFL. Uh, Alton Barry in the press box for Texas Southern gives us Texas Southern loses tale of two halves game to FAMU. Florida A&M comes to town to Houston, Texas. And Texas Southern, great first half. Great first half up 14-7. Everything looking good. And then the second half, they
Collapsed.
shut it down. And hence the loss. Brian Strader, our NFL writer, has Tua finally silenced the Herbert critics. He looks back at the 2020 NFL draft, the choice of Tua and Herbert and how they panned out. Nice little piece. And speaking of people in different places, John Doucette, from what I understand, I don't have the video. I don't have the transcript. I don't have the actual police footage. But from what I understand, John went to Merrimack and I don't know, forced his way into Merrimack hockey and basically kicked the door down and said, "Well, nobody called me, so I showed up anyway. What are you going to do?" And John, what happened, John?
No, everything was fine. Everything worked out rather well. There's some renovations going on over there at Lawler Rink, but everything worked out okay. And got a chance to see Merrimack beat St. Lawrence yesterday 5-2, and they evened their record at 2-2. But ended up being a good day.
Yeah, but John, you had no credentials. How'd you get in?
That's true. I was, I think, the only one that didn't. And I got there about 2 hours before the game.
Did you get
Just
your
walked in.
credentials? Did you get your credentials, John?
No,
No, not yet.
no.
John looks like a serious man, so they don't let him in.
Yeah, there's not a lot of. There's not a lot of. Yeah, you get the ice cream and the whipped cream with John. You
Huh?
don't get the cherry. You don't get the sprinkles.
No cherry, huh?
You
No.
know, it's all vanilla. No different flavor. Just that's John Doucette for you.
Okay.
At first, I used to wonder about him. Oh hell, that's a lie. It's 10 years later. I still do. Anyway, we have a show here. I'm looking at a Facebook post. A friend of mine posts a picture under Delish Taste Recipes of a pineapple cream cheese pound cake.
Pineapple cream cheese. What?
Pound cake.
Yuck.
I heard of
Really?
pineapple.
Now, I know in the middle of a baseball show, we don't have a lot of place in the middle of a baseball show for pineapple cream cheese pound cakes.
Good.
But just saying it,
Right.
pineapple cream cheese pound cake. Damn, that sounds good. That sounds good.
It's like barbecue pizza to me.
As far as the website, all that and more, of course, on NGSCsports.com, where we never stop Follow us on Facebook at NGSC Sports, Twitter at NGSC Sports. I will not call it X. And YouTube at NGSC Sports. Please like us on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. And of course, this is the baseball show, so we talk baseball here. In case you haven't checked your calendar, it's October. October in Major League Baseball, especially on the 23rd of October, usually means baseball's almost over. So something serious must be happening. And what is happening at the moment, gentlemen, is the ALCS, NLCS.
Well, NLCS is happening now, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, yeah. Literally, the NLCS is happening now. But we left the show last week. There was, let's see what happens. And we saw Texas and Philadelphia jump all over Arizona and Houston, and we were like, "What the hell is going on?" Well, Alejandro, this time normally I go to John, but I'm going to go to you first. The tide has turned. It's 3-3 in the ALCS. It's 3-2 in the NLCS.
I mean, you have to give this guy a grade for resilient. Just to come back from 0-2 in both leagues actually, and just put up the fight that the 0-2 teams are put in. It's just unbelievable. Arizona, I don't know. The last game was Gallen, right, John?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the one before that with the opener. It's something that a lot of people take into, they go crazy when they hear the opener, but the opener actually might work on a series like this, because you getting your whole lineup of balance when the opposite lineup of balance. An opener on, like you could mix and match, you could do a lot of things, but they went in 4-1, the D-backs. Hopefully they keep it up and we get to see a game 7 of that.
John, what an ALCS, NLCS we've had so far, huh?
Well, it makes up for what didn't happen in the wild card end of the division series now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really does make up for it. Look, you got to give Texas all the credit in the world. They're trying to pull this off with 2 starting pitchers, and they've given themselves an opportunity to do it. Nate Eovaldi was pretty good again last night. They got 3 big home runs last night. Certainly the grand slam from Garcia, which was the knockout blow, as it turned out. And again, you do have to wonder what they can get from Max Scherzer tonight, based on the first performance in that series. If they can get 5-6 innings out of him and still be in the game at the time, who knows? But you do have to give Texas an awful lot of credit. They have not given up the ship at all, even when it looked like there was water about to start to be taken on here. They, especially after the way Game 5 ended, bringing Leclerc in for the 4-out save, getting into trouble in the 9th inning. Then Altuve hits the home run that puts them ahead, and all the nonsense that took place before even that happened. Give them credit. They have not given in to the idea that they don't belong and that they can't win this thing.
This is Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep fighting.
Yeah.
I think every game of that series has been like a nail biter from the beginning to the end. I mean, besides the last game that was kind of a blowout at the end, every game has been close. And also there's a game that Houston blew out in Texas too. But other than that, it's pretty even. It's what you want to watch as a baseball fan. Like, you want to watch something like that, even though you don't have a dog in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
You can't help but get excited about games like this.
Right.
I think the thing I find interesting is the fact that Texas hasn't lost on the road yet.
That's crazy, right?
It is.
Well,
Hey, Louis, what are your thoughts on the ALCS and NLCS so far? And we'll get into it. I'm sharing the show.
Yeah. It looked like it was going to be a sure win for the Rangers and Phillies early on, but the series completely turned around. Midway through, and now it's anybody's game. And to quote what Hunter said, it's been tightly contested in the ALCS except for 2 games. I mean, going into the later innings last night, I thought maybe that Houston was going to tie it up and had a chance, but when the Rangers hit that grand salami, that was it right there. And I think maybe the tails were turning in the Rangers' favor last night. So I'm thinking maybe that they can pull this out tonight.
I think what becomes interesting is whether or not Chapman gets used at all tonight. They found a way to stay away from him last night after, again, what happened in Game 5 to him.
Yeah.
The question does become how much faith does Bochy have in him in the later innings if this is a tight game?
I think in order for Texas, they're gonna need Matt Scherzer to be Matt Scherzer.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure he can be Matt Scherzer. I think that's the problem here.
That Matt Scherzer Game 3. You can't have that.
Question: did Zach Wheeler wheel and deal the other night?
Absolutely.
That kid, I'm sure.
I had to bring that up because of all the games I watch, and there's so many, and what that have gotten us to where we're at here in the AL and NLCS. But that it just stood out because he was never in trouble. There was never a concern. It was just such a well pitched game. I really enjoyed it and just wanted to know your thoughts about that, guys.
Yeah.
Zach Wheeler can be that guy. I mean, he's certainly an ace, and in any staff you want to put him in, and he put that on display in Game 5, and gave the Phillies the opportunity to be in the position they're in at the moment, which unfortunately is not going well for them. But when Zach Wheeler's got his A game, there are very few lineups that can handle him.
I mean, when Altuve hit Game 5, I mean, with shades of, for me, with what happened back in 2017, I thought Altuve that was going to, give them the advantage, heading into Game 6.
And what a big home run! What a big home run! Because you look at that game, and even though it wasn't signed, sealed, and delivered yet, everything appeared to be going Texas's way.
Yeah.
And somehow you felt it there was something that I was looking for more for a rally, a hit, a run score.
Yeah.
But then Altuve hits a home run, and I just had that moment of kind of like, yeah.
Figured once he was coming up, I'm like, oh no.
Right. Yeah, right, Louis, very good. Yeah, you figured. You just like no surprise.
Because remember in 2017 what happened. You should know.
Oh yeah.
Real quick breaking news. Milwaukee Bucks have signed Giannis Antetokounmpo to a 3-year extension worth $186 million.
Just for 3 years? Wow.
$62 million a year.
Well, hopefully the Milwaukee Bucks can be something. We shall see.
Well, we should say money, but
I told you, Louis. You should have been something else. You should have done something, Louis. You could have made all this money. I'll tell you.
Exactly.
$62 million a year. Anyway, top of the 7th in Philadelphia, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
They holding up, man.
Still holding a 4-1 lead on the Philadelphia Phillies, trying to force a Game 7.
I think what's interesting about the Diamondback approach today is they decided not to pitch to Schwarber and not to pitch to Harper, and so far it's worked.
Hey, John, I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm.
So I got a math problem for you. Not so much a math problem, but a baseball math problem. Let me explain it this way. I'm standing at the plate with a bat. Obviously, the purpose of me standing at that plate with the bat is to make contact with the ball that's coming my way, right?
That is the theory.
Yes.
But you won't pitch to me. So if you won't pitch to me, it's going to be hard for me to hit home run after home run, bomb after bomb. Right, John?
Which is what Schwarber in particular has been doing, yes.
So how long was it going to take to implore this little strategy here? Because these two guys have been going yard for the playoffs.
This
You do wonder why it took Brent Strom so long to figure out that staying away from those two guys was a wise idea.
Alejandro?
this is Schwarber and who else?
And Harper.
Harper.
It's
These guys are launching missiles out there.
the thing with like Philadelphia and Houston lineup, they so like you don't get any breaks. Even like the bottom of the lineup, okay, you have to be careful to pitch to like a Brandon Marsh, or you have to be careful to pitch to Johan Rojas.
Yeah.
Because if you get them in base, you got Schwarber in the back, and he's not going to hit a solo shot. He's going to hit a 2 or 3 run home run, 3-run shot or something like that. So you have to be. It's like no breaks in there. Same thing with Houston. Like you can't really pitch around anybody. In terms of lineup balance, I think Philadelphia in the National League is something incredible. So is the Houston Astros in the AL.
But at least for today, it does appear that pitching around Schwarber and Harper, which is what they've done all to this point in that game, has paid off. It's worked.
You also have Trey Turner, and you also have Castellanos that's hitting out of this planet. So you got to pick your points.
As I say, the Diamondbacks have decided that Schwarber and Harper aren't going to beat them anymore.
Good.
Yeah, because it isn't like these guys have been stroking, doubles down the right and left field line.
No, these are like 450 foot.
They are blasting mammoth home runs. It's I
think that last one, the Schwarber hit was like
460.
And it seemed like it went 600. I mean, it just anyway, they've been majestic shots. So Arizona has to counter. So far, as John says, so far the counter's working. How long does that counter work? Obviously, it's going to force others in the Philadelphia lineup. As Alejandro was bringing names up, it's going to force others in the Phillies lineup to do something.
Yeah,
but Louis, because if it's been a show between Schwarber and Harper in these home runs, and but Arizona's done a great job to this point, 4-1, Louis.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't give Arizona a lot of hope, getting this far to the playoffs, but they managed to show that how they've gotten here.
Who surprised me out of the whole series? Brandon Pfaadt, the Arizona's third starter. He has been dealing. I think he kind of got divorced from the strikeouts and just pitched to contact and with a lot of movement. And his first game in the postseason, he got rocked, but he bounced back, and he's just like, I don't know if they retool his mechanics or something, retweaking. He's a different pitcher. The last 2 times around, he's been dealing. And a guy like that, riding a hot streak like that, that's what you want in a Game 7. Hopefully, he could hold up. But who's going Game 7 for Philly?
Well, I haven't said anything yet because they're hoping they don't play one.
Yeah, they have.
Well, I mean, they about to play a Game 7. They 4-1 in the 7th. So
they don't see it that way until the final out.
Do you have to?
We won't get the answer to that question until after the game tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Listen, John, in the ALCS, one thing that Texas, because remember what we said in that, and I was emphasizing that Texas had to jump out on the Astros, and they did. And not just game one, game two, taking a 2-0 lead and headed to, it was like, wow. So, but then of course, Houston, as they have all season, plays and shows us, who they are. They even the series, the big game 5. One thing Texas has shown, John, it doesn't seem to matter either way. They're ready to play with. They're ready to play. I mean, game 7's coming up.
Well, let's face it. Last night they used the long ball again, and that's really been the theme of the series. 3 home runs last night that really did eventually put that game away, and Nate Eovaldi did his job. You're going to ask that lineup again to score a lot of runs tonight because they're going to have to with Scherzer on the mound because you just don't know, A, how long he can go, and B, how effective he's going to be. So that lineup is going to have to keep hitting. The interesting thing about this is Dusty Baker has never won a Game 7, and Bruce Bochy has never lost a Game 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that 5-1 Arizona.
Very interesting stat there, John. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's and again, I mean, you're talking about one manager who's won 3 world championships with the Giants, another one who's won 1 with the Astros. But it's very interesting that when you get to that win or go home setup, that one has been very good at it and one hasn't.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. But of course, first we have to get through Game 6 in Philadelphia, top of the 7th inning, and
The fighting
Diamondbacks have scored again.
It's going to make it interesting because it really does provide Torey Lovola with the opportunity to potentially stay away from some of his weapons in that bullpen to set them up for a Game 7 tomorrow night, which could end up being rather beneficial for him. The Diamondback order decided to ambush Aaron Nola early in counts, and because they did it, they were able to get back-to-back home runs in that second inning and get themselves a lead that for a starting pitcher was the first time in the series that any starting pitcher had pitched with a lead in any of these games. And it really did become a rather beneficial opportunity for the Diamondbacks to take advantage of, and Merrill Kelly certainly did it.
Yes.
Wow. First time. A starting pitcher with a lead. It goes to show you how that's been going. It's 5-1. 5-1 Diamondbacks.
They're looking worse for the Phillies.
Put up another one. So somebody in Philadelphia better start telling us who the starter for tomorrow is, because like Alejandro said,
not to have a game plan.
There's going to be a Game 7, folks.
Today.
That's what it's looking like. But in the American League, Texas has shown that they're able to play with Houston either way, with their backs up against the wall, especially after a disappointing Game 5. Could have folded, but like John said, yes, the bats took over, the bombs took over, and Texas is able to even the series. And
it just appears that the Texas Rangers are a better baseball team on the road in this postseason than they've been at home.
Than anybody. I mean, they 6-0, 7-0.
6-0.
I mean, they just appear to be a better team on the road than they are at home, and that is a very that's not usually how it works.
Eventually, you lose on the road. They sure hope now, ain't eventually.
Yeah, I agree. They certainly hope it's not tonight. And you do wonder what kind of a rope Bochy's going to give Scherzer as this game begins,
especially after his first start.
And you kind of figure that first start was going to be rough because he hadn't pitched in well over 20 days. So you didn't think that was going to be a great outing for him, and it wasn't. No. Can he make the adjustments, and can he do enough to give his team a chance to win? I think becomes an interesting question.
I think Bochy is going to have a keep a close eye on the velocity there. I don't
And
know.
location too.
Yeah, Max Scherzer is a outstanding pitcher when he's touching 95 and above, touching 93 and below. Oof,
He's hittable.
exactly.
He's hittable.
So I think the work for Bochy is just to keep an eye close in the miles per hours and just see, because you cannot survive Houston Astros lineup.
Well, the other thing about this is because of what happened in Game 5, the Astros and Jose Abreu had his hearing this morning, and so the possibility does exist that the Astros are one pitcher short in that bullpen for tonight's game. If that ends up being the case, how does Dusty Baker work this bullpen for one night to be able to give himself a chance at a World Series? Because if Abreu is not available, that makes the back end of that bullpen a little more interesting to set up.
They're going to prorate that to next season. He's available for this series.
So he is available. So
Yeah,
they decided he was not going to do it. That's interesting. That's fair.
I don't even think that's necessary, because you don't want. I mean, whatever you want to suspend them, do it. But what about a fine or something like that? Eventually you don't want to put a guy on base when it's a close game. So I don't think it was intentional at all. I don't know.
No, I don't. It's just an overreaction from Garcia at the time, and unfortunately, it's an overreaction that the Astros eventually used to get themselves back into that game and eventually win it.
Yeah. Oh well. But yes, they did the hearing. He's fine this year, and they're gonna do the suspension.
So he'll miss the first 2 games of next year. That's what he'll do.
Yeah.
So, Louis, question.
Which I still think is bullshit, by the way.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Question, Louis.
Yes.
Just wondering your thoughts on the Yankees' chances of getting the last wild card spot.
I think we can rule that out now.
I just wanted to be sure, Louis.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Like I knew that wasn't coming. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No. I just wanted to be. Yeah, I know you're a true fan, and
I am.
You know, it's confusing at times, and I just wanted to make sure that we were still on the same page.
Right page, we are.
Okay.
It would have been nice if they could make it, but after the split they had in August, it made it kind of tough, and it was just too late for them to catch up.
It was one of our better moments of the 2023 season. Discussing with Louis the Yankees' chances of getting the last wild card, which, by the way, were below 0. But Louis wanted to, like a true fan, he wanted to hold on to. He wanted to hold on to no hope, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you can grab the tail end of that. So anyway, we see how this finishes. Again, it's Game 7 coming up in just within the hour.
Yep, about a half an hour to go.
Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas. I should say Texas and Houston. That makes it sound a little better. And it is the bottom of the 7th. It's 5-1 Diamondbacks. Game 6, they look like they're going to force a Game 7.
Unfortunately,
so buckle up, Buttercups. I mean, there truly is fewer final words in sports than to say Game 7.
Yes,
it is.
And just to have,
let's face it, Major League Baseball needed this after the way the wild card and division series went.
Definitely.
Exactly.
It sure went not as planned.
Right.
No.
So they needed this.
Hey, John, Baseball United did the first draft today.
Yeah, they held their draft today. They're going to run an all-star game as opposed to an actual weekend worth of games in Dubai. Now they're going to run an all-star game instead over the Veterans Day weekend to get that thing started. It looks like there'll be some minor league players, I'm assuming minor league free agents that became available, and others with major league experience that will be are part of that draft. Hopefully, we'll get the list to see who is actually going to partake in these All-Star games that they're going to run to get this thing off the ground.
Yeah, but also they have to consider just bringing some of the local kids from there. I mean, you have to have some people from Dubai.
You would think, you just don't know how many there are.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, if there aren't enough of them, you're going to have to bring in players from other parts of the world to fill out these rosters and to at least introduce the game to an audience that may not be terribly familiar with it.
Yeah, but a lot of people are, a lot of veterans and a lot of people that I haven't seen in MLB field for a while. They sign up for it, and I like.
And the other thing I'm curious about is how much of these guys are going to get paid for one weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the guys in there, they kind of work. Like I know. I mean, he's part owner. So I don't know.
I mean, you're talking about some pretty serious expense to travel halfway around the world to play one weekend's worth of baseball games.
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, in some ways it doesn't. So I do wonder how much these guys are being paid for what they're about to do.
Sure, but
now, when you're talking Dubai money, of course, that's change.
Yeah, that's change. Yeah,
I guess, but still, I mean,
I mean, it's less than change. It's less than change.
And they're playing in a cricket stadium, for what I understand.
Yeah, it's less than change.
I wonder how they're going to condition that. There's a lot of knees in there, man.
All right, so here we go.
I mean, I assume it's artificial turf, right?
It's got to be field turf at least. It has to be.
Man, imagine you playing in that turf.
I know.
Ralph.
Yeah.
You playing in that turf in there?
What am I playing?
Playing third base. You're gonna play third base for the Dubai team.
Oh, Jesus
artificial.
Christ. As long as I can play in a wheelchair, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. So we've talked for many years about baseball in Florida. And the biggest obstacle in Florida for baseball is getting people to sit in the stands. For some reason, it'd be something if it was just one organization, but both Tampa and Miami have had a problem filling seats, keeping seats filled throughout the years. Despite, Florida winning a couple of World Series there. And recently, Alejandro's been talking up, the Florida Marlins. And, I like to mess around with you, Alejandro, about who the hell was San Diego a couple of years ago. But when you look at what the Florida Marlins have done over the course of the last 3 years, as Alejandro's been saying, it's been nice to see what they've been able to do. They made the postseason. It's been a hell of a climb. And John, something happened in Florida.
Well, Kim Nick decided that she wasn't going to stick around any longer, and decided to walk away from that organization after being hired in November of 2020. The Marlins did have a mutual option for one more year, which she decided to decline. It's been reported that the reason why she decided to decline it is because the Marlins wanted to hire a president of baseball operations, which would essentially have been her boss. And she decided that wasn't something that she was interested in. And so she's now walked away. Yes, the Marlins did make the playoffs this year. And yes, she made some shrewd trades that provided them with an opportunity to get to the playoffs this year. And certainly the one to get Luis Ariza from the Minnesota Twins, I think, would be the best of those moves that she made. She leaves the Marlins with a record of 220 and 266 for her time as the general manager of that team. The criticism toward her was the fact that her drafting was not very good. And considering the fact that the Marlins had top 15 picks in 2 of the 3 years that she was there, it's a criticism that I suppose does present some merit. But I guess the bottom line to all of this is, does it make it more difficult how difficult is it going to be for women to have significant roles in organizations? I mean, she was opening doors. Are those doors still open?
Isn't the idea, Alejandro, to improve the organization, which has happened under her watch? Now she's gone. We can talk about where she'll wind up somewhere, if she will, if she won't, but it just seems so fast, and obviously we don't know all the details of what happened behind closed doors.
That is
of what, because I'm thinking what was her problem with that? Yeah. Go ahead, Alejandro.
No, I would have been a fly on the wall. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall and in that room. Because I don't know. I mean, it's just why you want to hire somebody to put on the top of her when she's doing things to improve the organization. I get. The draft. The draft has been kind of dry for a lot of people. Unless you get like top 10 or top 5, you're probably gonna have to do you probably gonna have to have a great scouting director behind everything. Eventually, those are the people that calls the shot. You can't really blame that on Kim NG. I also heard that she kind of rejected the Boston gig, John.
Yeah.
So
that was a possibility.
I don't know which.
But again, I mean, that would have been the same situation. The Red Sox are looking for a director of baseball operations, and that would have been the person who would have run the whole show. She wouldn't have gotten the opportunity here either.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't know which direction she's going. I do see her getting a job very soon too, same as Bloom. But it is a crazy stuff when you're trying to put somebody over your own people, your own personnel. So let's see, man. Marlins are, I mean, I don't want to say chaotic kind of organization. I mean, they always find a way to kind of ruin things. I mean, I don't like to knock any organization because you never know who's going to open the door for you. But man, show some consistency here.
I mean, look, she made a couple of great trades, and she hired Skip Schumacher, who I think will end up being manager of the year, and takes that team to the playoffs. And so I do think that she made some moves that ended up being very, very beneficial to this organization, not only in the short term, but potentially in the long term as well. It does appear that the Marlins and maybe even there are other organizations in Major League Baseball that just aren't interested in allowing a woman to buy the groceries.
And Louis, it sucks because, of course, remember, she's the first woman to become an MLB general manager. But I guess you got to understand where she's coming from, huh, Louis?
Yeah, you do. Of course, but didn't turn the fortunes of the team around, so it didn't make much progress.
I want to give credit to what credit is due here. There's a lot of the blueprint in the Marlins organization is Derek Jeter, and don't take credit away from him. I mean, he did a great job, kind of revamping the whole thing. So I mean, Kim, she did some crazy deals, especially that Arise. That kind of when she got a rise to the Marlins, everything changed. If you're seeing the offense, I mean, they were more and more selective. Guys like the young outfielders that they have, they all kind of flourish on their Arise. You can't really put a price tag on that, but there's a lot of work of their Jeter in there too.
Well, let's face it, and she found the right manager to make it work, and I think that's something that she certainly deserves a lot of credit for. because
we have that guy back.
right. I mean, yeah, I'm sure the Cardinals would love to have Skip Schumacher at the moment. Now I think the question becomes, where do the Marlins go? Where do they go for a new general manager, for a director of baseball operations? Where does this organization turn when it comes to what not only next year may look like, but the next couple of years down the road? Because whatever blueprint she established, you kind of think is going to get torn up a bit.
Now, I'm just going to throw this in the air there. Shane Bloom, you want
Maybe.
to wrap your farms?
Maybe.
Wow.
That would be an interesting development now, wouldn't it? That he would go back to Florida, but this time instead of being in Tampa Bay, he'd be in Miami. That's an interesting possibility. Again, I think that they've got to find somebody who has an understanding of amateur baseball, college baseball, and can draft well and continue to develop the organization the way that she started it, so that the drop off doesn't take place.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. I mean, it's just a damn shame because in this world of sports where women still fight to make their mark, she made history, and again, I understand her position on one hand. On the other hand, I don't know, but yeah, we'll see what Florida does now. That's for sure.
I think the bigger question here becomes, for those women that are qualified to become general managers like she did, how many of them will now become gun shy to get involved in this because they understand that the margin of error is really that small?
Oh, what effect this is going to have on the women themselves trying to get ahead in baseball. This is definitely going to have an effect on them because no matter what happened, perception is the perception for these women is gonna make them question whether they should make the effort.
Even go through the interview process.
Yeah. It's shaky ground. Speaking of women,
in some ways, I think Major League Baseball has taken somewhat of a step backwards here by this happening, even if it's been done for legitimate reasons, and I'm not necessarily sure they were, but still, I think that to some extent, a step backwards has been taken here.
and sometimes I wonder about the show, the carrot that's dangled. So Kim NG, a woman, the first woman to be a GM. Now we talk about Alyssa Nakken, who of course made history being a coach for the Giants. It turns out that she interviewed for the manager's job.
Yeah, she also did. Supposedly Buck Showalter did it as well. She did it. And again, you got to wonder what kind of an interview process that she went through. And for that matter, how much faith the organization really has in her ability to be able to run a male-dominated clubhouse and to be able to get this team to play competitive baseball in a division that for the moment is still run by the Dodgers. But you have teams like San Diego that you would think eventually will put it together, but you don't know. But over 162 games, does this organization really believe that she's qualified to run a male-oriented sport and get this team to the playoffs? I think that's a very interesting question, and I'd be really curious as to what kind of an interview process she went through to try and prove that she could actually do this.
And that was my question to all of you, Alejandro. Why? Why? I mean, you got so many that will be glad to interview, those who won't be, those who will be passed up. But nothing against Alyssa Nakken because more power to her for everything that she's accomplished to get herself as far as she has. But what has she done to garner an interview for a manager of a Major League Baseball team?
Wasn't she under this guy's staff? No, I mean she was under.
Yeah,
I forgot his name.
She was on the Kepler staff, but I don't think that she really had the responsibilities that would lead you to believe that she could become a major league manager.
True. I think in terms of that, I mean, you have to go through it. I mean, you have to go through the process of interviewing. But at the end of the day, I wish she would just absorb more information and more experience actually. Because
Okay, so I guess the question I would have is, are the Giants doing this for publicity purposes, or are they really serious about the idea of giving her a chance?
you got a good point there.
Listen,
I mean,
Come on.
they asked permission for Bob Melvin actually,
Right.
Right.
and also like Buck Showalter. So if they still moving the ball around, that means that they haven't found anybody that is convincing enough to give him the gig yet.
I just have a hard time believing that 25 guys
Mhm.
would follow the lead of one woman.
And
Yeah.
you would hope, Louis, that out of respect to the game, that they would, Louis. But it is a good question to ask. Nobody wants to be chauvinistic or anything here.
Not
Just
all.
the fact of having a woman run a clubhouse there, full of men, a sport, a locker room, and all of this. I don't know, Louis. What do you think?
Does bring a lot of controversy too. But
Can
no,
be
I
walking
think
around in your towels, Lou.
yeah. But I think if you're qualified to do a job, regardless of what gender you are, you should take it. You should be able to handle it too. It does. I mean, it shouldn't come down to just gender. It should be who's ever qualified.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. A manager's a manager.
But I think in this case, gender is a part of the equation.
Think so?
I think this was just. I don't want to publicity stunt sound so disrespectful.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you're heading in that direction because I do think that's what happened here.
There's
But
no doubt.
I don't. I mean, it could be that, but also what I think is the biggest knock here is experience. You don't. I mean, I don't not knocking Alyssa Nakken for lack of expertise, but she doesn't have the experience to deal with this thing. I don't know. She might have the skill, right? But experience.
My thing is this: I would assume that when Gabe Kapler was fired, so was his entire staff.
Right.
So she was kept.
Well,
She wasn't part of his staff, so to speak, directly.
So to speak.
Right.
And so when everybody else got fired, including the manager and the bench coaches and everybody,
Right.
he was not.
Why not
He
her?
was not fired, right.
And the other thing, John, is I don't understand what the organization gets out of this.
Nothing really.
Nothing.
Because she every day she's going to have to prove herself in spring training that she actually knows how to run a training camp, that she actually knows how to make the roster evaluations that would be necessary to put the 25-man group together and to run games, even if we're talking about spring training games to begin with, and then eventually a 162-game regular season. I mean, there's an awful lot to this that you would have to think that she just doesn't have any understanding of how to do it.
No. They know that. I'm just wondering the reason why you'd go through all of this when every team knows this is not like a candidate that we're going to take seriously, right? No.
You wouldn't think.
I mean, unless you have a great bench coach, a guy that
You have to have more than one great bench coach too, by the way.
don't know.
It would be interesting to see.
Oh, absolutely, it would be, and I think that's part of. I think what the Giants might have been thinking here is that if she could wow them in the interview, that maybe they would at least consider the idea and see how far they could go with it.
I mean, this thing is a groundbreaking thing. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But I have a thing with experience. You don't want to. Yeah, I mean, Gabe Kapler is a guy that is a guy that played the game. I mean, and he went through hell to get the Giants actually to play that good last year and the year before. But I think experience is a key word in here. I mean, you can't really. I don't know. It's a complicated thing, right?
Yes.
Groundbreaking thing. I mean, it's kind of liberating for a lot of people, but at the same time, experience is not.
So again, why interviewer? If the obstacles are that obvious, why interviewer?
You got to give her a chance, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
It's a whole stunt, but it's such a bad stunt to me because if you did it with someone, at least with Kim NG, she had 30 years,
Yeah.
with the Yankees and the Dodgers,
This is a
winning
different aspect of
organization.
the game. This is a business aspect. Kim and G is a business genius.
Right.
You
Right,
cannot
exactly. She
But
worked
this-
her way there.
this and I don't know.
And she worked for Major League Baseball in the commissioner's office as well for a period of time too.
That's a
So
big.
she understood the inner workings of the game, not only from an individual team point of view, but from as Alondra says, a business point of view. So her knowledge of how everything works was, I think, too much for the Marlins to walk away from. Whereas I think in this case, there is no knowledge, there is no experience. And so what are you doing this for?
I mean, Kim and G has a pedigree of any dude that's out there.
Right.
Probably better pedigree. I mean, she has done it all. She can't really, and she has experience. And this is a different side of the game. Business side of the game is a different thing. That
how could you hire Alyssa over, say, Buck Showalter?
Or shit, even a guy like Benji Hill or somebody like that that's kind of knocking on the door all the time to get an opportunity.
How can you justify making that decision?
I don't know. Crazy, right?
By the way, I think Yadier Molina is going to be the bench coach for the Cardinals.
And I think Yadier Molina eventually could become the next manager of that team.
Hopefully.
Once he gets enough experience and understands what the other side of the fence is all about, I think he will become the next manager of that team.
What he did with Team Puerto Rico in the World Classic when he just decided at the end of the day who was going to be the starter. Genius. Brilliant. He threw the Dominican team of rhythm.
I think the problem for Yadier Molina is going to be separating himself from the relationships that he probably still has in that clubhouse.
True.
Yeah. Learning the difference. Yeah.
Right.
Good thing about him, he earned the respect of everybody in that organization, from a kid in rookie ball to like veterans in that clubhouse. So, I mean, that is kind of the beauty of growing into an organization and understanding it. And he's a guy that he has the resume to do it. I think.
And let's face it, there's nothing more the Cardinals would like to have than Yadier Molina still being a significant part of this organization moving forward. And I would also think that if Adam Wainwright wants to return to this organization in some capacity, that there's a job there for him too.
Also, Chris Carpenter is a guy that's super brilliant. I would like to see him, climb up that ladder too. Not as a coach, but I think he's a great mind for baseball. Maybe a scouting director, maybe even a GM or something like that. That guy.
I think the one thing you have to be careful about is bringing too many former players back.
True.
I think that's the one thing you have to be careful about. You've got to make sure that the ones you bring back really do fit the job that you have in mind for them, as opposed to just bringing them back because they were fan favorites or they wore the uniform at one time and they wore it well. There's got to be more to it. So I think bringing too many former players back can be just as bad as not bringing any of them back.
Yeah. One guy that's not going to come back is as an executive or anybody related to baseball operation is Pujols, because he's working Anaheim for like 10 years now.
Right.
And that's
and he knows better. I mean, some guys just absolutely know better that this is not something I want to do, need to do, or should do. Whereas you have others who are baseball lifers who want to accept the challenge of trying something completely different to seeing what they can do. I think Yadier Molina wants to be a major league manager, and I think he's wanted to be a major league manager for a significant period of time. I think that's why he was involved with the World Baseball Classic. to understand what that was all about and to see, whether he would really be interested in doing this or not. I think the experience was good enough for him that he's decided to try and take this to another level.
This guy has an extremely great work ethic. I mean, after he retired, he went to Venezuela, play winter ball, like not play winter ball, but manage a team. Didn't do that well. Remember, he also owns a basketball team in Puerto Rico.
Right.
I mean, he's always working. He's always constantly working. And when your mind is constantly working, that means your mind is super great to do things. Now he's playing not playing winter ball, but managing winter ball in Puerto Rico, with Caguas, and that team looks stacked. By the way,
Yeah.
that's something that we're gonna get further down. But he's a guy that impresses me. Anything that he touches is just goal.
And let's face it, the great thing about winter ball is you can go learn something like becoming a manager under a situation that really has very little stress associated with it. And it really does help you to understand how all of that works and provide you with an opportunity to really understand whether you want to do this for a living or not.
True. Yeah. I mean, managing winter ball is not an easy cake, man. I admire people that are doing this just for the fact that you're working with the what if, or you're working with the uncertainty of what a player could do. You don't know what your pitcher is going to give you. Your pitchers might be out of MLB for like 5-8 years. You don't know what to get. I mean, you don't have velocity. You have a lot of movement, but also you got a lineup of guys that they come in from the MLB level and they could hit. So it's really tough to manage winter ball.
Plus, you don't know how long those guys are going to stay there. Some may just stay there for the entire winter ball season.
Exactly.
Some may just stay there for a brief period of time and leave. So you have all that going on too.
Yeah, you only get like 2 weeks. Some of them,
right.
Yeah. So it's
all right. So
you make it, or you make it. You could make it in the major league.
You got that right. You reached that point in the show where I asked Louis, final thoughts.
Well, I'm just hoping that that Texas does pull out time. I would like to see the Rangers, push out in Game 7 against the Astros. I'm just hoping for that because they really do.
How about that, Alejandro? Final thoughts.
Oh, I'm surprised how the Diamondbacks are holding up the Phillies.
Yeah,
and that very potent lineup. They still 5-1 end of the 8th. So let's see. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, this is.
Hey, what though? It sets up very interesting because the days off that Texas or Houston, whoever does win tonight, can potentially get for this. It really does help them to set up what that next series could be like for either one of these teams. Look, for Max Scherzer, this is his night, and if he's going to cement his reputation as a big game pitcher, somehow he's got to pull a rabbit out of the hat and pull this off for the Rangers. Because if not, then I think the entire year, which began with him signing that big deal with the Mets, kind of becomes a waste.
Yeah.
And remember, we're also doing predictions on my show this Saturday.
All right, and for me, it's just about baseball. We're here.
Yes.
When we come on next week, we'll be talking World Series. Who will it be? Arizona,
Phillies,
Philadelphia,
Texas.
Houston. Texas. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I mean, if the Phillies do blow this, if that does happen, how that city is going to react to what looked like almost, well, I wouldn't say a sure deal, but certainly something that was pretty good in their favor. How that city is going to react to all of a sudden the thing just blowing up in their face.
To be honest with you, if the D-backs hold up now, Philadelphia's in trouble.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have no pitcher for tomorrow.
And how Phillies fans get when they lose.
We will find out. Thank you for joining us. Remember the website it is NGSCSports.com, where you catch all of your current content. I'll be on 4 times this week. Tomorrow, I'll be back tomorrow with Jordan Rhea and Nasir Kiraga, and I bet you Louis Tenor, as we will be talking the 2023-2024 NBA season. As the
I'm there.
NBA 23-24 kicks off tomorrow. The season opens up tomorrow, so me and the guys are going to sit around for a little while. We're going to talk some basketball. On Wednesday, my brother and cousins and I will be back to talk everything Titans, Tennessee Titans podcast. They're on a bye week, but plenty to talk about here on the bye week.
You gonna talk about Mike Vrabel being in the Patriots Hall of Fame, or you gonna let that go?
Yeah. Right. And I'll be back Thursday, of course, with Attack on the Politico. So it'll be a busy week for me. All that and more, of course, on NGSCSports.com, where we never stop until tomorrow night. I'll see you guys then.